Good afternoon, folks. I'm Bill Reimer, your host here at the Philosophy for Philistines channel, Politics for Plebeians. As a result of a conversation with a Scandinavian friend of mine, I've written the following. This occurred throughout discussions over the last few days about the insanity that is infecting Western thought. I'm recording this in honor of all the hateful, racistic, bigoted, white supremacists, black Uncle Toms, and people of every shade of pink, brown, yellow, red, binary and or non-binary who dare to imply that facts, culture, philosophy, and history matter. Indeed, assert that reality itself matters. Don't you know that logic, reason, epistemology, and ethics are simply tools of white patriarchal power used to dominate the intersectionally oppressed? Just ask any postmodernist or critical theorist. They will tell you how hateful your speech is. Regarding wokeism, I actively collect their arguments like a philatelist collects rare stamps, with this exception. I can easily exchange any one of them for another ideologically possessed wokester to have the identical discussion. At the same time, wokesters haven't a clue where I am coming from, since I don't derive my thinking from the social collectivist hive mind. The only thing which makes us truly human is our ability to think for ourselves, which is why postmodernists and cultural Marxists loathe humanity. They hate human nature. In fact, so much so that they even despise themselves, which is why they so easily succumb to hate and fear. Fear any speech that can demonstrate their lack of reason. Therefore, out of false moralizing, they label reason itself as hateful because they are driven by both pathological nihilism and narcissistic delusion. Regarding George Soros announcing at Davos that we may well already be in World War III and that it will spell the end of Western civilization as we know it. Putin and the Ukraine are merely symptoms of decades of naivety and ridiculous foreign policies where we the West, thought we could convince people with radically different worldviews that the Western worldview was the best. Meddling in the affairs of others and central planning has led us here. Economically, while philosophically, the West has rejected the grand narrative upon which it was built. Therefore, if Soros' assertions are correct, the West has destroyed itself, and Soros is just one of the many carrion crows who have come to feed on our carcasses. The result of the abandonment of the grand narrative. Consequently, I cannot keep silent regarding the corruption of thought in the West. Frankly, I haven't got a choice. The prevalent ideological nonsense is so outrageous and ungodly that I'm compelled to speak out. I couldn't keep silent even if I was to exert all my effort. We live in dangerous, perverse, and unnatural times when the West has rejected the grand narrative which for 1,500 years has defined Western thinking. Namely, the story of a blameless innocent, the only truly good man who has ever lived, who was betrayed by his own, sent to the cross by the very globalist authorities that had turned his country into a Roman satellite state governed by a corrupt Jewish leader who answered to the Rome with the help of an equally corrupt Sanhedrin. that even Christ's own mother Mary was willing to surrender her son to his torment willingly, that the call to take up our own cross to follow him, and that it is the work of the cross which has redeemed mankind, is the central theme of Western thinking. And this is what is now being rejected by an unnatural cadre of ideologically possessed academics who call this sacrifice white supremacy. They call it white privilege. All these things are evidence of the fact that the West long ago has lost the plot. So I must condemn this idiocy with every fiber of my being. The grand narrative is the foundation of and for Western civilization, without which our civilization cannot exist. I am an uneducated and ignorant man, but not sufficiently unwise to destroy the very foundation upon which our entire ethos, ethics, epistemology, and ontology rests. And these postmodern fools do it by replacing the West's greatest philosophical and divine constructs with what? Nihilism? Because that's all they have to offer us in the name of equity. Oh, we will be equal, all right, since society will become equally mad, which is exactly what wokeism is. It is madness. So there are some things to think and pray about on this May the 25th, 2022. I invite you all to join the discussion. Leave a remark here. Subscribe, ring the bell, get notified of all future podcasts. Tell me what you would like me to speak on in my next podcast. I'm happy to accommodate, as long as you're not a wokester, or perhaps more appropriately, even if you are. I'd love to speak with you. Have a great day and God bless.